Welcome in everyone to a surprise live afternoon edition of 410 Sports Talk. I'm Glenn Martin, riding solo for this one. Just wanted to get out here and talk about some of the news swirling around the team and get my opinions out there. Of course, we will be live later this evening doing our more traditional preview show, getting you guys ready for the Bills matchup this weekend. But a lot to talk about when it comes to the Ravens right now, and it might not necessarily pertain to the game this weekend, which is why I wanted to get out here and talk to you guys right now. But I am riding solo on this one, so I'll certainly be leaning on you guys in the chat to help me out here. But first, I have to talk about our sponsor, BetOnline, who continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. In 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from NFL football to NBA, college basketball to NHL and UFC. BetOnline is the number one sports betting source for the new year. From every touchdown to three-pointers and hat tricks, BetOnline has you covered on every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. And, you know, I had to get out here because I thought it was absolutely genius, some of the move that we saw just take place yesterday from the Baltimore Ravens and Eric DeCosta. So I'll throw it up on the screen here right now and talk about, as you can see here. So after his post-game sulk session in the joyous locker room of the Texans, where Diontae Johnson was upset about his lack of participation, lack of role in the playoff win, despite the fact that his teammates surrounding him were smoking cigars in celebratory fashion and having a good time. No, it wasn't good enough for Deontay. His one catch for 15 yards, that's not what he had in mind. So he made sure it was known to the entire Texans team that he didn't care that they won. They won a game that, even though they were the home team and the higher seed, most considered them the underdog. Nah, he didn't care about that. He only cared that he only got one catch for 15 yards, despite the fact that he just got there, and this is a playoff team he's joining. So he sulked. He sulked and found his way out of Texas, or out of Houston, just like he has in his last few stops, where there's an unhappy ending to the partnership. So he's out now. He's a free agent, but before he hits free agency, I should say, he is first subject to the waiver wire, where teams can claim people before they hit free agency. And the Ravens did just that. As you can see on the screen from Shefty, he reported that the Ravens did claim former wide receiver Diontae Johnson on waivers today from the Texans, per the league's wire. This is a procedural move. Yes, it is. And Johnson won't officially be awarded to the Ravens until after the Super Bowl, but he qualifies as an unrestricted free agent this offseason. And if he signs with another team, he factors into Baltimore's compensatory pick formula, potentially helping it obtain an additional draft pick in 2026. Johnson does not have the ability to play this postseason and likely won't step back into the Ravens facility, but can help the Baltimore Ravens in the offseason. So, look, there's no surprise. The Ravens lead the league in compensatory picks since they became a thing. And this is it's a great example of why they do so. They're always working, always looking at a way to get an additional draft pick, because we all know the draft is a bit of a lottery. And the more shots you have at a lottery, the more chances you have at winning the lottery. So it's just a genius move. And no, this isn't a move to get Deontay back in there and hope to catch a little bit of talent that he has left and help us over the hump of no. He will never step foot in the castle again. He is not welcome here. But the Ravens used a procedural move to potentially get a draft pick. So it's a no risk, potentially low reward. I certainly will call it that. Those who think that he's going to get some monster deal and the Ravens are going to get a late third round pick, late fourth round pick. No, it's going to be a very late pick if they get one at all, because Diontae Johnson has made it to where I don't think any GM is going to want to sign up for this behavior. I mean, you talk about the ultimate me guy. I mean, a guy who just got to a team and still was so entitled and so selfish that he couldn't even see the joy in winning a playoff game when you weren't expected to do so. So nobody's going to really line the Brinks truck up for this guy. So don't expect a great comp pick. But if he is signed with another team, he may reward the Ravens with a very late pick. And so for that reason, since there's no risk, he's not going to be in the building. He won't be affecting other players on the team and maybe how they feel about their role. Now, he won't be a bad influence. He'll never be in the team. He will just simply maybe award the Ravens a comp pick late, albeit, but still a comp pick nonetheless. And we've seen late round draft picks help the Ravens in the past. So why not? Doesn't hurt them. Thought it was a great move, but still, I mean, it just makes you think, like, what was this guy thinking? The ultimate fumbling of the bag is what this man has done. And yeah, it's kind of a shame. But that's enough of Diontae Johnson talk. Let me move on to the next topic, unless you guys have something in the chat. I don't see. Okay. Appreciate you guys coming out. Bailey got beats. Appreciate you, Ross, Deshaun, White, Jared, Quan. Appreciate you guys joining me in this kind of pop-up live here. A package deal? Yeah, we definitely already got some coming, Bailey. There's no doubt. And maybe we don't get one because the deal could be so minuscule, but it's at least worth the try, because what does it hurt? Doesn't hurt to try. What's going on, Corey? Appreciate you coming out. But yeah, let me get into the next one here that I want to talk about, because this one's pretty cool before I get into the kind of bit of a bad news that we've gotten for the Ravens. But let me just throw this up here. Now, look, the Ravens haven't been around terribly long, only coming into their franchise's birth was in 1996. So they don't have a long storied history like a lot of these teams do. But the Ravens did officially pass the Dallas Cowboys as the winningest franchise in terms of win percentage in NFL history. And again, smaller sample size, but the sample size is growing to where it's not like this team just became a franchise. You're talking a decent amount of time to this point. They've already have 2 Super Bowls. They're a perennial playoff team. And as you can see at the very bottom of the tweet there, I don't think that's something that should be overlooked either. Lamar Jackson is only 28 years old, and he's an early 28-year-old. It's not like he's turning 29 in a couple weeks. And so the potential for him, and we know what this guy does. He just wins 80% of his games. So the only thing we can see right now is that number is only going to go up. Like we're the 57.38%. I expect to only go up as we continue to have Lamar Jackson lead this franchise. And let's be honest, the Packers aren't necessarily heading in that same direction. I mean, I'm sorry, the Cowboys aren't heading in that same direction. It seems like the Cowboys right now at kind of a pivotal point, trying to find who their new head coach might be. It might be Dion, might not be. We'll have to wait and see. But we know this: the Cowboys their stock isn't pointing up right now, and the Ravens certainly are. Now, Packers doing well, Chiefs, still have Pat Mahomes. They're doing well. Who knows with the Dolphins? But it takes a lot to move the percentage needle when you're talking about a sample size of your entire franchise's history. So even if those teams do have good seasons upcoming, it's still going to be a tough task to catch the Ravens when they're just going to keep winning. So the fact that the Ravens are now the winningest team in NFL history, I'm sure it's bothering Jerry Jones like absolute crazy. I'm sure there's Cowboys fans that aren't thrilled to see this, as that's one of the things they've hung their hat on, as being America's franchise, or America's team, I should say. Well, there goes that. That's out the window. The Ravens take that title, and again, only expect to widen the gap from here. I guess this includes postseason as well, as they've just officially passed as of this week. It would have to include the Steelers' victory. So yeah, I mean, they could continue to widen that gap here in the next, as the Packers aren't in it anymore. The Cowboys weren't ever in it. And the same can be said with the Dolphins, Bears, Vikings, Patriots. All these teams are no longer in it. So the Ravens could widen that even more. But shout out to the Ravens for being just a consistent franchise. I think we're lucky as Ravens fans to have this team, a team that doesn't force us to make excuses for why they stink, force us to sit 20-something years with no playoff berths like the other team in this city, the Baltimore Orioles had that long. I mean, most of my childhood, they were a non-factor. They're one of the teams that has, you're our rival. And then you ask that rival, and they're like, we don't even, how can a nail be the rival of a hammer? Like, what are we talking about? So it's pretty cool that the Ravens have shown this level of consistency, won this often, despite being a new organization. Pretty cool, man. Absolutely pretty cool. Let's see. What's going on, Clot? Appreciate you coming out. Brian, what's going on, buddy? Yes, sir. It's been a while. Shout out to Brian Waters. Appreciate you coming out. Guy who met with us before this was all a thing. I remember that lunch, Brian. I remember that. Appreciate you meeting up with us. G. Isaac has a super chat here. You want me to throw this up? I don't want to hit it, and then you know how that goes. G. Isaac says, put this towards lunch, maybe a burger with bacon. Appreciate it. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate the super chat. You know, I think I got to take my son to a dentist appointment. So I didn't want to eat because he can't eat. So now I'm starving in solidarity. And I won't be eating or drinking until he's allowed to eat or drink. But when that time comes, I might just have to have me a bacon cheeseburger. That sounds good. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate you watching. But let me also bring up the next topic here, which is the one that I'm not happy about, the one I'm not thrilled to talk about. And man, I feel like this is every year. I know John Harbaugh's got to be like, gosh, this is driving me crazy. Every year he goes through this, and every year he's forced to potentially have to rebuild his coaching staff. I'm envious of Kansas City in that, man, Andy Reid's found he found Spagnuolo, and Spagnola's like, look, I am what I am. I'm a DC. I'm going to be a DC. He's got a great defensive coordinator, has no desires to move on and be a head coach. And I'm so jealous. You know, it's ridiculous because I don't think the Ravens are going to be so lucky, and I'm hoping I'm wrong. And look, it feels weird to root against a guy moving up in his career, but I'm going to do it. I hate to say it, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to be a selfish fan. As you can see here, Adam Schefter puts up on the screen here that the Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken is interviewing today for the Jaguars head coaching job and Friday for the Bears vacancy. I mean, he's got 2 interviews lined up with two potential franchises that, I mean, are desperate for a good head coach, have been in, I mean, haven't had a coach. I can't remember the last time either of these franchises had a competent head coach. It's been a long, long time. And I can't blame him for reaching out to Todd Monken. The offense that Todd Monken has built here is absolutely incredible. Again, to lead the league in yards per attempt on the ground and yards per pass attempt through the air is absolutely insane. To be that good at both facets of the game offensively, that says something. And especially to do it, you know, in just 2 years. This isn't a guy who's been around here and had years to implement a system, to build a roster around that system, to get guys perfectly to fit what you want to do. No, he's done this in record time to put this type of offense out there, to put it together. Sorry, I'm reading chats here. Oh, you good, DK? You good? Okay. Let me see here. He said the biggest difference between Harbaugh and Tomlin is that Tomlin's not raised any coaches and been poached. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Tomlin doesn't have that tree. He doesn't have the constant, guys leaving to be head coaches elsewhere, getting promotions. Tomlin doesn't have to worry about that. So it's certainly lucky for him as well. But I don't blame them for wanting to call Todd, right? Todd already made it clear when he came to the Ravens that this was his step. This was his avenue to get a head coaching gig. He felt like his time was clicking. He's not getting any younger. And so he strategically picked the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, let's put it honestly, as his avenue to hopefully get a head coaching gig before his time is up. And it looks like he's pursuing that now potentially in Jacksonville and Chicago. Look, I don't blame the guy. I mean, that's the ultimate height. And look, it's not only the highest, you can get in professional and coaching football. You can't get any higher than coaching an NFL franchise, the head coach. So it's as big as it gets. But also, the pay is substantially different. I read somewhere, I'm trying to find and give credit who it is, but John Harbaugh gets $16 million a year. Todd Monken makes $3 million a year. So it's not just the fact that it's the most desired position. It's the mountaintop of coaching football. It's also a massive increase in your paycheck and potentially generational wealth for your kids, your grandkids, and their kids. If you could secure a 3-year bag at that kind of rate, now he's not going to go in at getting John Harbaugh money. He's not going to go in getting Super Bowl winning coach and, winningest road playoff coach. And he's not going to get that, but he's going to get a massive raise from $3 million a year. I think we can all agree there. I think that's pretty obvious. So, man, I hope one thing, as selective as Todd Monken was for his offensive coordinator search, which I believe he was. Now, who knows how many offers he had, and I don't know if guys were beating down his door, but he's made it clear that he was selective and wasn't going to just take any job as an offensive coordinator, where I hope he's just as selective in his head coach search. And sure, I get that his time is ticking. Like, he doesn't have unlimited time like some of these young offensive coordinators around the league, like Ben Johnson, do for Detroit, where he's still a young man. So he has a little more time to be selective. But at the same time, if you got one shot at it, where Ben Johnson, since he's a young man, potentially could have multiple shots at head coaching gigs around the league. We've seen how many older coaches continue to get retreads and more opportunities. Todd Monken might only have one shot because of his age. And so while I realize he has to make his mind up quickly, take advantage of that, he also should probably be a little selective, because we know how quick these owners will be at some of these franchises to fire guys if they don't like what they're seeing, or if there's even if there's a personality conflict that we don't even see. I mean, look what happened to Vrabel. Now, you think the Titans are kicking themselves right now? You think they're happy with that firing? I don't think so. But obviously, you just never know, even if you're successful, when you're going to get fired as a head coach. So I hope he is selective, because I don't know if there's a worse owner than Khan for the Jaguars. I mean, what are we talking about? This guy is horrendous. He just isn't brought up as much because the Jaguars aren't relevant. But he's about as bad of an owner as you could work for in the NFL. So I wouldn't necessarily go, I want to go to play for them. I mean, coach for them. And not to mention Trevor Lawrence. It's like, is that really a guy? I don't know. Now the Bears have a young core. They got Caleb Williams, who, if you ask my co-host if he's any good, I don't think you'll like the answer if you're a Bears fan. So why? Like, I don't know if these are the gigs, but I understand why. If he were to take it, I get it. But man, I really hope he does. I hope he stays here in Baltimore. You don't ever know if a good offensive coordinator is necessarily going to be a good coach. I think Todd probably would, just judging by the little bit of personality we've seen since he's been in Baltimore. I think he probably would be a good coach. Seems like a leader, but we don't know. But one thing we do know is he's a hell of an offensive coordinator. He fits well here in Baltimore, works well with the players. Him and Lamar have a good relationship. He seems to understand, how to call this offense and how to get the most out of these guys. Works well with John. I'd like him to stay here in Baltimore until he's ready to hang up the clipboard and stop stuffing the play sheet down the front of his sweats. That's what I would like. But man, I don't know if I'm going to get my way, guys. I don't know if I'm going to get my way, and it just drives me crazy. Yes, we need to find. Yeah, exactly, Deshaun. We need to find guys who want to just be offensive or defensive coordinators. Stop wanting to leave. Damn it, we need to get lucky. Because every freaking year, and you know what? I'm sorry. I don't like that he's interviewing, because he talked about how it was a distraction last year. He talked about, like, I don't like the fact that we're letting guys who are in the middle of game planning for the biggest games of their lives to game plan for a team like the Buffalo Bills that's, pretty damn good. And you can't tell me that he's not spending time leading up to this big game preparing for these interviews. Like, you don't go into these interviews just going, I just got to answer questions. You have to dive deep into their roster. You have to explain to the ownership what your plan is for their franchise quarterback, what your plan is going forward as far as how you want to build the team, what your vision is. That means you're studying their roster. That means you're going over you better have answers. And the same will be said for the Bears. So he's doing 2 deep roster dives into these teams and there's no way he's not going into this completely prepared. So how is it that we're allowing these guys to interview? Hell no. They should wait till they're knocked out, whatever team is knocked out, before they can interview. This seems crazy to me. I don't know how this is still being allowed. We've talked about, this isn't new. We've said this is BS for years. It's ridiculous. Like, I don't understand why this isn't a rule in the NFL. I have no problem allowing these guys to set up interviews after the time comes when they're available, but not now. Not right now. I mean, holy shit. Is Todd not busy enough? Like, this is absolutely ridiculous. So I never like that. I think it's BS that coaches are doing this. I think it's crazy. Like, what do you think he's going to do all day on today? And what do you think he's doing all day Friday? Like, it's crazy. He's not just going in for an hour interview. These interviews last hours, sometimes go to dinner after. I mean, they go into the night, and that's not including all the prep time I just went over. Like, I don't understand how that's a thing. And if you deny the right of your coaches, then you're a jerk, you're an a-hole, you're selfish. And so John's not going to do that. So he's just stuck to just go, all right, see you later, Todd. Like, he's still in the castle going over tape. Todd's packing up, heading home to study the Jaguars roster and who he would target in the draft. Like, it's absolutely crazy, guys. It's absolutely crazy. Interviews, okay, even if they're remote, he's not doing it. You think, I mean, man, now they're like, all right, I'm just going to use this office in your building to go get a job elsewhere. I hope he's at least going somewhere else to do the interview, even if it is remote. But again, he's taking a lot more time studying, preparing. This dude could have a damn slideshow. We don't know. I mean, these coaches have to go in and wow their employees. Like, this isn't an interview at Mickey D's we're talking about here. This is to be the CEO of a franchise, to be the face of a team. Like, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit, ladies and gentlemen. I hope not. Yeah, exactly. Trent Baalke. I mean, that's how deluded Khan is. He kept Trent Baalke. And then with Trent sitting right next to him in his latest presser, said, well, I get it. It could be tough to have Trent here. It might not be as desirable for a coach to come when there's already a guy here. And hey, things might change. Maybe I have to. He's sitting right next to you, bruh. And you're telling him, it's just, who the hell would want to work for this guy? I don't know, but man, I don't like this news at all coming out of Baltimore. I'm not a fan of it. And look, you can call me selfish fan all you want. I have no problem with Todd interviewing wherever he wants to for whatever position after the Ravens are done what they have going, but they're not done yet. And there's way too much work to be done. I think it's absolute BS. But I mean, look, I haven't seen anyone disagree in the chat, so I guess I'm not crazy here. Yeah, Stackhouse. Yeah, exactly. No problem him advancing his career. No problem. But after the Super Bowl. And I could even say after your team is eliminated. You know, like if the Steelers, by the way, Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator from the Steelers, had an interview with the Jets today. Why? Why, oh, why? See, that's what I mean right there. Like, why is that guy? He had a horrible stint in Atlanta. Does anyone think that he, had a great seat? Like, did anyone see the Steelers offense last 5 weeks? Like, what are we talking about? Like, but this guy's okay, fine. He can have an interview. His team's eliminated. Go. I don't even have the Super Bowl rule. It's just whenever your team's eliminated, okay, then you can do it. But not until then. And hopefully that coincides with the Super Bowl rule in this case with the Ravens. Hopefully that's the case. Let's see here. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. DK makes a good point. If you make it all, everyone has to wait till after the Super Bowl. Then you don't have to worry as an offensive coordinator, like, oh, man, there goes the Bears job. There goes the Jags job. What do I got left? Now I'm stuck. Okay, so to that point, I think DK makes a good point. If you make everyone wait till after the Super Bowl, everyone has the same opportunity. The job pool is still wide open, and you don't have to worry about losing time. Okay, that's fair. Okay, so yeah, that's the rule. That's not enough time. Like, it's plenty of time. Let's stop it. It's plenty of time. It's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. But yeah, I think thank you guys for letting me get that off my chest because I just had to get out here. But my son's dentist appointment is in a half hour. So I got to get up out of here. But that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Tell me, should he be interviewing? Tell me about if you think it's cool that the Ravens are now the winningest franchise in history. And of course, let me know what you think about Diontae Johnson being claimed. Was this next level genius? Was this big brain thinking by EDC? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget, tonight, live pregame show, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. We're going to, let's, 8:15. It's Jimbo, 8:15. But we will be here. So be here or be square. That's it. See you. Hey!